Okay, so I'm looking for a toy. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to the channel. Everything's gone a bit mad, hasn't it, really? It's been ages since I've been online trying to find a little bit of fun. So when you're a car dealer, it's easy to fall into the trap of not being a consumer anymore and actually looking online and trying to find a car for sale. However, I've got a budget in my head of about 5,000 quid. I want to buy something that is a fun, hot hatchback that I could potentially sell for a little bit of profit, but that doesn't matter too much in this, and I'll explain that at some point in the future. But I just want to find something that's fun, and I am right against a brick wall here. So join me on the journey as we try and find something that's actually got a bit of something about it for less than 5 grand. It's now an impossible. So, like it or loathe it, and I think we all know which camp I sit in with this, I'm going to start off on autotrader, and the only reason I'm doing that is because, to be fair to that platform, it is easy to narrow down your search criteria, and it might give us a few ideas here for hot hatches. I've got a few in mind, but I've already been looking at these, and everything is mad money. So, the good thing about autotrader, it hurts me to say this, is you can really narrow down exactly what you want. Therefore, we can get some ideas, and then from the ideas, we can spread out onto other platforms and see whether or not there are other options out there. So, I'm going to say that I've got a maximum budget of £6,000. I'm wanting something that does 0 to 60 in 8 seconds or less. 6 to 8 seconds. Yeah, I think that opens up hot hatches, doesn't it? I want a hatchback. I only want a 3-door because bad mans. And I think that's pretty much it. Petrol. That, by all accounts, should give us a load of hot hatches. Ugh. It's a shame you can't just like exclude Citroens. Anyway, however, saying that, Citroen Saxo. Let's just see what we can get for your money because I want a bit of fun here. What I am going to do straight away is rule out Corsa VXRs and Astra VXRs as much as the great cars. Not the most reliable thing on the planet. Mini Cooper S, great car, however that being on an 09 plate, it's only for sale up the road. Otley, I know where you photographed that, I think. Yeah, I know exactly where you photographed that. Brave place to photograph a car, you get run over there. Lovely photos, however, the 2009 variant of one of those is a turbocharged Peugeot engine, niche. You don't want it, it's going to cause you a headache. I say that, I've sold them in the past and not had problems, but I want something that's sort of mechanical and reliable and fun, and I want to smell the fuel and feel the fire. I'm trying to sell it to myself here. So we're going to rule out those minis. Civic Type R is not a bad shout. A Civic Type R from Bradford with 110,000 miles on, with a load of lack appeal on the bonnet. Can't work it out. Apparently, these Type Rs, when they brought them out, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments here, had less power than the EP3, which is the one before it. I think there's 198 and the last one's 199 or whatever. It was a bit of an ugly duckling, this car, when it came out, but I do think that it is matured quite nicely, like a good cheese or wine. However, it's just a bit meh. I prefer an older one. Let's stick a Civic Type R on the list. Civic Type R. EP3 would be nice. I guess that's kind of in budget, isn't it? How many owners? Doesn't say. Tells you everything you need to know. Motorway miles. Don't give me the motorway miles rubbish. You might as well put, trust me, it's all right. The chance of that 2009 Civic, which is 17 years old now, have clocked up 110,000 miles only on a motorway, or mainly on a motorway, is slim to sod all, isn't it? It's just, I personally think that's a way of putting people off an advert. However, I'm being picky because I'm a car dealer and I'm a picky guy. There's an interesting shout. This is kind of an R32, sort of. 3.2 litre V6 engine, I think it's the same one from an R32. However, this has been wrapped with an Audi A3 as a body. I quite like those wheels actually, it's sat bus high. I don't know how much fun that would be. If it's an auto, it's definitely dead. Okay, no, so it's a manual gearbox. That could be a bit of fun, you know, if you slapped a big exhaust on it. But the problem with the R32s, and the problem with this as well, heavy car. Pudsey Service Centre. I know this garage. They know a mate of mine called Dean. Good reputation, actually. I'm sure that'd be a nice motor. However, Not what we're looking for. And the mileage is a bit punchy at 136 as well. I'd like something fairly low miles. Ford Fiesta ST is a great shout for a performance hatchback, or a hot hatchback. It's probably more of an apt term for a Fiesta. And that looks good, although it's been mucked about with because it's definitely been lowered and those wheels might be OZ wheels, potentially, or a rip-off of them. But for £4 and a bit grand, doesn't look like a hoot of fun. It's got a warbler on it. RH Car Sales, is that a dealer? That looks like fun, doesn't it? But maybe a little bit modern? I don't know. It's not scratching the itch that I want scratching this morning. Another VTEC for £1,000 less than the last one, with slightly less miles on, and looks slightly more battered, to be fair. That looks tired. Doesn't it look tired? Poor little thing. The arch didn't look too clever at the front. But 3 bags. A lot of motor. What's he telling us, man from Dewsbury? He's telling us, here we have a Honda Civic Type R, recently serviced. A strong clutch and gearbox, long MOT, ready to drive away, delivery available nationwide. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Doesn't mention anything about service history. Doesn't mention anything about owners. You know, it'd be really interesting would see how that scores on vehicle score, because I've got a sneaky feeling, not that it is totally gospel and you buy a car purely based on a vehicle score result out of 999. However, we will have a quick look at this and just see where it keys in. Let's have a quick look. I think it's going to be 600 and... Ooh. Oh. Not being taxed for 1,271 days, that car. This is the problem. We got that 6 Series, or in fact any of my cars from the too hard for now pile. When they've been sat out of tax for so long, even if there's good reason, like the ones that I've got in stock at the moment, because we've had problems and we're trying to sort them out, except say for good reason, I guess you still want to know there's been a problem. That's been off the road for 3.5 years, but it was MOT'd. If I was genuinely interested in buying this car, I'd be doing a full check on it. It's saying bad bits, more than 10 advisories, 2 fails, overall reliability, it looks shaky. I agree, looking at the car, it looks a bit shaky. Yeah, 198 horsepower, I was right. Again. Let's keep looking, shall we? No to you. What reg is that? Template turboed. Tell you what though, doesn't that look like a lot of car for the money? 2.5 grand, you've got a twin pan roof, leather by the looks of things, piped leather, nice colour, chili pack. That looks like a lot of car, doesn't it? Now, my missus bought one of these. So when me and my missus first met, basically she was looking for an automatic Mini and she asked me to try and find her one. I was unable to do so and she ended up buying one herself, is a long story short. We ended up getting together. I thought she'd nicked it, to be fair. She gave 5.5 grand for the car and it looked like 7 retail. It kind of attracted me to her a little bit, being truthful. Anyway, long story short, she eventually wanted to sell the car because it had no end of issues. We went to sell it, did a vehicle score on it, stolen, recovered. So that cost thousands. Anyway, irrelevant to our search, but I just thought I'd tell you that little story. Bingo. That is a hot hatch in my opinion. Ford Fiesta ST150 in the correct colour. I think there's 2 colours on these that you'd have, which is white or blue. They also do an ST500, which came out in black, which I think was a limited, I don't know if it was a limited run, or if it was just sort of like the last few that they did, or the last 100 or few hundred that they did. Anyway, great cars, 2 litre Duratec engine. They have about 150 horsepower, hence the ST150. They were known for being a little bit gutless low down, but great fun up top in the revs. That is a great car. Great shout. But £3,000 and it has done 130,000 miles. Madness. Huddersfield though, so it's just down the road. Bought it for my son, unfortunately can't get insurance. What a shame. Future classic. You know what it is? I hate to agree with the term future classic, but I think this guy might have a point on this. I think it might be a future classic, that car. Just a bit too leggy on the miles for me. However, I'm going to put that on the list of cars that I would buy. Nice. What else we got? A Bath, great roll cage pops and bangs. That'll be a hoot. I love those wheels. Absolutely love that style of wheel. What a cool looking thing. It's got Akaprovic exhaust tips on it. That looks cool, doesn't it? Cool car, but I've got a Bath in already anyway. And I do think they're good fun, but it's not sort of retro kind of E-ish. That makes sense. I think I want something older. Supercharged. Supercharged Mini. That, in my opinion, is a proper hot hatch. That is an R53 Mini Cooper S, which is the one with the supercharger on because it is a pre-06 car. I think they changed in 06. So it's the proper engine. I forget what engine it is, but it isn't the Peugeot one. Looks a bit mucked about with. Not a massive fan of them in black, but does look well. I bet you could have a right laugh in that. Why are the exhausts tiny and slightly hanging to the right? What a hoot those are. Looks a bit boggo on the spec. However, you do well to find these now. That doesn't seem like an unfair price. 2,200 quid. What's wrong with it? There's not a lot in the way of descriptions on that description there. However, hello, Mini Cooper S. On the list, mate. We'll have a bit of that. I'm going to save that, actually. Oh, bloody autotrader signing. Where are our leads going? Oh, he sent me a text. Oh, Alex, what's the number? What's the code? Thank you, mate. To save a car. Autotrader, you are mad with what you are doing here. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that ranting route again. So, okay, back to results. Another one here, another VTEC. Yes, bit fresher as well. Wheels look nice. They're an option on these. That looks well. Oh, mate, if you're going to sell something, get rid of the stickers. You're just telling me who's owned that. But then, to be fair, I think every Type R's been owned by a yobbo now. What a great looking thing that is. Doesn't that look so much more of a car than the one we saw in Dewsbury for £3,000? Don't know why. Photos, they just make a huge difference on cars. Getting a bit of feel for the market here. 18-year-old Rob is massively aroused by that. That looks really cool. However, I'm not eating McDonald's at the moment. I'm on a diet, so that is new from me. What else do we have? I'm running out of excitement here. Mito's a great shout. And they do argue, don't they? Are you a proper petrol head if you've not owned an Alfa Romeo? I've had Alfas in the past. I know what you're trying to do here, selling that car before it lands, but that's a BCA photo. Come on, lads. We're better. Oh, it's just nothing. Is it just me? There's nothing that's evoking those sort of childhood memories of, oh yeah, I'd love to smash that about. I wonder if it's because I put the 0 to 60 time, actually, might have spoilt this because some of the older stuff was over 8 seconds to 60, wasn't it, actually thinking about it. I wonder if that sort of stifled my options. Hello, Clio. Is that a 182 or a 172? 172. Again, Nath had one of these. A lovely car. He used to drive like an animal, did Nath. But he never had a whack. Got lucky and the roads were quieter back then. Anyway, for sale in Sheffield, mucked about with a little bit. But Clio is a great shout as well, isn't it? So you're probably wondering why I'm doing this. Well, I'm doing this for a couple of good reasons. The first reason, because I want to, and I think it'd be fun. And the second reason is I said at the start of the years I was going to start doing a couple of raffles. And I'm kind of been a little bit selfish with this because, yeah, we want to give a car away. Yeah, we want to do the charity thing that we talk about, that we do raffles. And it's actually a really, really good charity idea that I've got this time round. However, I want to get some of the fun out of it and like buy a car that I've always wanted as a kid and then never really got a chance to have. Buy it, enjoy it for a bit, and give it away. Anyway, that wasn't a plug for the raffle, that's just the rationale for why I'm doing this. EP3 Civic has just come into my crosshairs. Oh, that's the proper shape of a Civic Type R for me. Mate Fozzie had one of these. He had one of these Type Rs, and at the time, I was trying to save money to buy my Subaru actually, and I had a 1.1 litre Peugeot 206 5-door, and he had one of those, and he used to love smashing me down the bypass. Oh, look at you and your slow car. And then I got my Impreza, and it was bye-bye Foz. I remind him about that a lot. That's a cool looking thing. His reg was H2 TYP, I think it was. Done some miles, K&N, standard procedure on one of those. So I got a different manifold on it, does, doesn't it? Ooh. And a load of servicing stuff with it. £6,000 though. Again, there's no mention of owners on here. Isn't overly loud. Yeah, 421 decap manifold. Will that pass an MOT then? Probably not. Gearbox works. New clutch. So it says the timing chain's been done previously, but there's no invoice for this. I've got a garage report stating it's been done. I don't think I'm going to get one of these in my budget as a nice one. And this is the problem, isn't it? Everything's gone mad. Golf GTI. Golf GTI is a good call, actually. Golf GTI is a good call, and that's a lovely colour on one. Is it a Manuel? They are Manuels on that year. I think they were, actually. There's a Mark 5, 6, 5. Most remarkable service history, having been owned by 3 individuals. No, it is. That's a good shout, actually. Golf GTI. I don't know why I'm not excited by it, though. I think because they sound a bit dead. Can you see my problem? Back in the day, and I blame the scrappage scheme for this, you used to be able to pick up a right laugh of a car for £1,000. And now I've got a £5 budget and I'm struggling to find anything. Right, let's have a quick muck about on these filters, because I think I've messed up here by not including a car that's done 0 to 16 slightly over 8. So we go 8 to 10, get rid of all of that stuff now. 8 to 10. Yes. Considering you're a tech company, autotrader, you're bloody annoying. And let's go age, year. What have we got? Saxo. VTR. You wanted the VTS though, didn't you? Let's face it. Again, Nath had one of these. He had some motors, didn't Nath? He had a VTR and then he had a VTS. And then he turboed his VTS. Oh, my mate Lanky turboed his VTS. We call him Lanky. He was lanky at the time. He's now built like a brick house. But I still call him Lanky because it's ironic. I like it. I know silver was kind of the colour back in the day. I prefer the pre-facelift to the facelift. But for the money, you're on the list, mate. Preston as well, just up the road. 91,000 miles. Cheapest VTR on autotrader right now, price to sell. What that is saying is, don't even try and chip any money off this car. That's long and short of that one. Rust-free example, blah, blah, blah. An offer not to be sniffed at. I respect this. An offer not to be sniffed at. Live your best nostalgic moments with this incredible head turner. Selling purely as cannot continue to dry store and need to reduce the amount of owned vehicles we currently have. Condition is great, but not quite immaculate due to the age. Fine. Viewing is encouraged. Less than 500 registered. That, look, it's never going to be a future classic with 91,000 miles on, but I do think a decent VTR or VTS can be worth a few quid. Peugeot 206 GTI. Rare as hen's teeth, these. Look at that. I think that's a great looking car. I know green it shouldn't work. What a lovely colour. That's going on the list. 8.4, 137 horsepower. They're a little bit lacklustre, weren't they? I like those though. 206 GTI is on the list. Brave, brave, brave. And also, I like an Alfa Romeo, but I just don't think that's pretty. Shoot me in the comments, but I don't think that's a pretty car. What else have we got? Another VTR. Oh, now doesn't that make that other one look expensive? Does it? That was 4,200 quid, wasn't it? This. Now that is something you could maybe tuck away. What was that colour called? Had a really nice name, that colour. Icelandic silver. Timing belt done. MOT done. Oh, it's had a bit of welding. Oh, no. It's a patch on the driver's seat. That is a great example of a VTR, isn't it? That is going on my list. Sort of running out of, I quite like the idea of one of those, but there's a bit, I don't quite like the hatchback BMWs. I thought that was an RS then. Here's an interesting car if it's not absolutely filled with rot. An ST170 Focus in, I think, the right colour. Has got a little bit of damage. Has got a subwoofer in the boot, although done nicely. That's a cool looking thing, isn't it? Would you have that? Now, price the minimum that I'd accept. Fair enough, mate. We've all got our price, haven't we? It's intended to be a lifer, but with a baby on the way, I feel your pain, brother. I'll need to make a sensible switch to an estate. If it doesn't sell by April 2026, I'll simply sawn it and store it. I've been obsessive about maintenance. That looks like a nice example, as long as it's not absolutely covered in rot. I'm not overly bothered by this score because it's an old car, although I think it's to do better than the ones we've looked at. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Same below average though, and there'll be rationale for that. No major bad bits. No MOT fails in the last few tests. Okay, no mileage discrepancies. Tyres, corrosion on brake pipes, that's fine. I had some play on the steering rack, which had been sorted out. Engine management light on. That's not bad for an old Focus at all. That's an interesting curveball, that. I'm going to save that down on my list of potentials. Oh, rare. Mental money. £6,000 for a 306 GTI. Were they a GTI 6 or something? Is that what they were called? Am I GTI 6? Yeah, is that, I think because they were a 6-speed with 175,000 miles on it. Controversial. I love the colour. Oh, so retro that, isn't it? I say retro, that shows how young I am, I guess, still. I think that looks really cool and retro-y. Is that a CD changer? Nice. Look at those seats. So French. Oh. If that's £6,000, how much is a low mileage one of those now? I can't. I just can't get my head around 175,000 miles on a car. I just feel like you go around in circles. So I guess the question I've got for you is, I've got a list of cars here, and what do you think is going to give me best value for money, especially after what you've just seen there? Now, I do think you'll be able to get a 192 Clio as well. Let's have a double check on that before I go. I think for under £6,000, £5,000-ish, you can get into one of those shapes. Surely, £6,500 there, look. That'd be nice. That'd also be nice. £3,200. Look at that. I want one. Look at that for £4,500 with less than 100k on it. So you can get into, I'll call it a new shape Clio for that sort of money as well. So look, I need your help on this one, please. I've got a list here. Civic Type R, Fiesta ST150, a supercharged Cooper S, Clio 172, 182 or 192, well that's a 200 or whatever, 2 litre Clio, Golf GTI, Citroen Saxo VTR or VTS, a 206 GTI or potentially, as a curveball, as a brave pill, a Focus 170, ST170. That appears to be what you can get for your money for sub £5,000. What's your thoughts? What would you buy? I would like to get some feedback on this because I'm not just going to go gung-ho on it. I am going to buy something and have a bit of a laugh in it. But what do you think will give me the most bang for buck and value for money? Argue in the comments below, please. If I've missed something, I know there's a Renault Megane as well, which is something that I've not thought about. So Renault Sport, or whatever it's called. They do a 2 litre, another one with the big bottoms. Loads to look at, isn't there? What's your thoughts? What's your feelings? What's your emotions? Please bob it in the comments below because I'm on a warpath. I want to basically this year have a load of fun with cars that I wouldn't necessarily buy and then exit them via a different strategy. But crucially, this year is about having a bit of a laugh and having some fun as well as running a, should we call it a successful business, would be nice at the same time. Thanks for joining me. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm going to pull the trigger on something over the next week or two, so fire in the comments and I will read them all and I will make a decision. And the next video you see in relation to this will be me driving a hot hatch. I shall see you on the next one. Cheers.